As we delve into the life of our main character, we discover a journey shaped not by destiny, but by what he refuses to let go of. At first glance, Spiegel appears effortless. He moves through space with relaxed confidence, cracking jokes, shrugging off danger, and drifting from one bounty to the next as if nothing truly matters. He fights like someone who has already accepted the outcome, and he lives like tomorrow is optional. But this surface-level coolness is not confidence, it is distance. Spiegel is not simply a bounty hunter in a sci-fi western. He is a man suspended between two lives, the one he is living, and the one he believes already ended. Cowboy Bebop uses Spike not as a traditional hero, but as a philosophical question. What happens to a person who survives their past, but never truly leaves it behind? This script explores Spike's character arc without revealing plot details, focusing instead on why he behaves the way he does, what moral conflicts define him, and how his emotional journey reflects a deeply human struggle. His story is not about victory or defeat. It is about meaning, memory, and whether a person can move forward without resolving what lies behind them. Spike's arc resonates because it mirrors real life. Many of us carry versions of ourselves we no longer live as, but never fully buried. Spiegel is the embodiment of that unresolved tension. Spike lives as if the future doesn't exist, and that is exactly the problem. Spike's initial circumstances tell us everything about his inner world. He operates in the present moment, rarely planning ahead, rarely expressing concern for long-term consequences. He eats when he can, works when he must, and risks his life without hesitation. To outsiders, this looks like freedom. But psychologically, it signals something darker, a lack of attachment to outcome. Spike does not fear death, not because he is brave, but because he is emotionally disengaged from life itself. His philosophy echoes throughout his actions. If nothing truly matters, then nothing can hurt him. This worldview is not accidental. It is built as armor. His past, never fully explained outright, casts a long shadow over his present behavior. Spike acts like someone who has already lost everything worth protecting. As a result, he avoids forming deep attachments, keeps emotional distance, and treats danger casually. When moral decisions arise, he often chooses instinct over deliberation, as if thinking too long might force him to confront feelings he's been avoiding. Yet, even in this detached state, Spike is not cruel. He consistently demonstrates a personal moral code. He dislikes injustice, protects the vulnerable when it costs him nothing, and despises authority figures who abuse power. This contradiction reveals the core of his character. He is not empty, he is closed off. Spike knows what is right, but questions whether it's worth fighting for. Spike's moral dilemmas are subtle and internal. He rarely debates ethics aloud, but his actions reveal a strong sense of justice shaped by past experiences. He does not blindly follow the law. Instead, he follows a personal compass forged through loss and disillusionment. One of Spike's defining traits is his refusal to romanticize heroism. He helps others not because he believes the universe will reward him, but because not helping would feel wrong. This makes his morality deeply human. He does good without expecting meaning in return. However, Spike struggles when morality demands emotional investment. Situations that require him to care, truly care, create tension. When confronted with reminders of who he once was, or what he once believed in, Spike often chooses avoidance. He masks discomfort with humor, apathy, or recklessness. This internal conflict fuels his emotional stagnation. Spike knows what's right, but he doubts whether it matters. His moral dilemmas are less about choosing between good and evil, and more about choosing between engagement and detachment. The tragedy of Spiegel lies here. He behaves like a man who has already accepted emotional defeat, even while still fighting external battles. Spike isn't running from danger, he's running from memory. Psychologically, Spike displays classic signs of unresolved trauma. His humor is deflective, his calmness is performative, and his recklessness is self-punitive. He does not seek death, but he also doesn't avoid it. His fighting style mirrors this psychology. He moves fluidly, reacts instinctively, and rarely overthinks. This reflects a man who lives in the moment because lingering on the past is unbearable. Spike survives by staying in motion. Spike's psyche is defined by disassociation. He treats life like a dream, something temporary, unreal, easily abandoned. This allows him to function without addressing emotional wounds. But it also prevents healing. He speaks often in philosophical metaphors, revealing a mind that has thought deeply about existence, fate, and impermanence. Yet these reflections rarely lead to action or growth, only acceptance. Spike does not believe in changing his circumstances. He believes in enduring them. This worldview protects him from disappointment, but it also traps him. By denying the possibility of a meaningful future, Spike locks himself into emotional stasis. Every relationship Spike forms threatens the walls he's built. Without revealing events, it's important to note that Spike does not exist in isolation. The people around him function as mirrors, reflecting aspects of himself he would rather ignore. Through interactions, we see his contradictions sharpen. Spike resists emotional dependence, yet he slowly reveals loyalty. He mocks seriousness, yet reacts strongly when others are harmed. He claims not to care, yet his actions suggest otherwise. These relationships challenge Spike's belief that nothing lasts. They introduce the possibility that life might still offer connection, something Spike is unprepared to confront. As bonds deepen, Spike's emotional armor cracks, creating moments of vulnerability he quickly tries to suppress. This tension fuels his arc. The more he connects, the harder it becomes to maintain emotional distance. And the more distance he maintains, the lonelier he becomes. Spike's growth does not come from dramatic transformation, but from resistance slowly wearing down. Spike sees the world clearly, but refuses to look forward. A recurring symbolic idea tied to Spike is vision, what he chooses to see, and what he avoids. He is acutely aware of reality, yet emotionally blind to possibility. He understands people deeply, yet refuses to understand himself. Spike's decisions are shaped by this selective vision. He reacts decisively to immediate threats, but hesitates when faced with long-term emotional consequences. He prefers endings to continuations, closure to uncertainty. This is where Spike's internal conflict peaks. Can a person move forward without resolving the past? Spike believes the answer is no. He treats unresolved history as a debt that must eventually be paid. This belief drives his most important choices, not out of heroism, but out of necessity. Spike does not chase redemption, he chases resolution. Not all growth is about becoming someone new, sometimes it's about accepting who you already are. Spike's character arc does not follow a traditional self-improvement narrative. He does not learn to be happier, softer, or more hopeful. Instead, his growth is philosophical. He becomes more honest with himself and others. He stops pretending that detachment is freedom. He acknowledges that avoiding pain does not erase it. Spike's evolution lies in awareness. He understands the cost of his choices. He accepts responsibility for who he is and what he believes. This acceptance is quiet, internal, and deeply mature. In this way, Spike Spiegel represents a form of adulthood rarely portrayed in fiction, the acceptance of emotional truth without guaranteed reward. Spike Spiegel's journey asks us a simple question: what past are we still living in? Spike Spiegel is not a character defined by what he does, but by what he carries. His arc explores how unresolved history shapes identity, how emotional detachment masquerades as freedom, and how moral clarity can exist without hope. His story reminds us that strength is not always about survival. Sometimes, strength is about acknowledging pain without letting it define us. Spike does not offer easy answers, but he offers honesty. In a universe filled with chaos, Spike Spiegel stands as a quiet reminder. You can keep running forever, but eventually, you must decide whether you're moving forward or just moving. And that question is one we all must answer.